All right, guys, it's time to talk about digital donations and really using the technology to increase what we can create for our churches. I want to start off by talking about why we're live streaming so that we kind of understand the core foundation of just why we're doing it and solve some of those simple questions. Then we'll talk about integrating YouTube and Facebook for digital donations. Let's start with a quick clip from my friend Seth Haberman, who is the digital pastor.
Ever since Grace Church started streaming online, I don't have to go to church anymore. I can just stay home and literally just watch church from my chair. And I don't have to go through that stupid greeting. Go and find 3 people and give them a fist bump. How about I give myself a fist bump?
I think it's so hilarious that Seth kind of jokingly talks about folks not attending church just because they want to watch from home. I truly do believe that live streaming a church service is for those who cannot physically attend, whether they're like my wife, who has moved away from their hometown church and still wants to give, still wants to be part of the church, but is physically just not located there, or someone like we'll talk about later in the book, like Tori Parker, who's in the midst of surgery, who still needs that church connection to heal on her couch, but she can watch from home. There's so many applications for this, and I want to start off with a nice conversation about kind of why we're doing this and talk a little bit about digital donations. So this is just going to read a little bit out of the book here. Seth's a great friend of mine. I've talked to him about this at length, and what we're doing here is we're increasing the outreach capabilities of the church. And we both agree that the number one reason actually why churches fail to start live streaming is actually out of fear that people might not come because their content, people will just watch it from home. And while this is a possibility, Haberman says almost every church that I've spoken to about this says that their live video program actually brings people into the church. And in his experience, it's always worked out that more people have found out about the church and attended. And I think that in 2014 maybe, that was a major fear, but here we are almost in 2020 here, and no one has that fear anymore. Everyone understands that it's a bridge, not just a window that people will not walk through. So now let's talk about some of the really exciting new technologies available for accepting digital donations online. So if your church isn't doing this yet, I think you should really look into some of the great new solutions like PushPay. And PushPay actually has a couple quotes here I want to read about how they're able to kind of transcend the barriers of your 4 walls of your church and really, accept donations from anywhere in the world. But also, pushpay.com, let's see what they say here. Recurring givers are the lifeblood of any church. PushPay says that not only do these donors give 42% more annually than one-time donors, but they also help churches maintain a steady budget during the ups and downs throughout the giving year. And what they're saying is that if you use a solution like PushPay, your donors can actually, your contributors can set up recurring payments. So if maybe they're on vacation, maybe they decide to give more on a Wednesday and not necessarily a Sunday. They can set all that up so that it works in their budget and they can get it so that you don't have to cash all those checks on a Sunday. Steve Murray, the pastor of Real Life Church, says every Sunday morning is no longer the main place that people give. We're starting to see people giving while they're on vacation, giving on a Sunday that they're not even at church, and people can give directly at their seat before the buckets even get around. Even young people are starting to give now that the smartphones are in place. And here's another quote from Kevin Johnson, actually here in Philadelphia, the Dare to Imagine Church. He said they had a huge blizzard that came out of nowhere and just wrecked the entire East Coast. So they actually live streamed and did a worship via teleconference. And he's actually happy to say that they raised just as much as they would on a normal Sunday because everyone in the church has started to use the digital donation platforms. PushPay estimates that a church with 200 members that raises about $250,000 a year can increase annual giving by roughly $20,000. And this would come from new first-time giving, new recurring giving, migrated cash and check givers, and the reduction of lost donations. So I really think that digital donations in itself can be a transformational way for your church to start thinking about including people who want to do annual giving. Just all these tools and management is something that we want to look into, because as we extend our church online to the world at large, we want to have this in place as kind of a foundational way when we start growing the church and growing our audience and reach out online, that people have a way to kind of, in the modern age, donate. So quick moment on wording here: digital donations versus online contributions. Most of the churches that I've spoken with actually enjoy the word contribution over donation. And they like to call their contributors something as opposed to donors. As a donation might be something that you would do to Salvation Army, or something to, just kind of a one-time donation. But if you're a contributor, that's like an ongoing contribution commitment. So that's what the wording we're using is contribution. And I wanted to show here how on the live stream, and this is the Life Church of God in Christ, they actually have their live stream on their homepage, right, of their website. They have a chat room, and the chat room, everyone's talking about, how great the service is, and they're so happy that they're able to watch it, whether they're on vacation or out of the area for the week. And then they can actually hit the little give button there. So they've got a big red give button there. And I just think it's a good idea to put your digital contribution button right next to your live stream on your website. Now, this is the direct digital donations, but one of the best things about starting the live stream today is that, and of course you could have a PayPal button. I have a little story about that as well, but you can now integrate giving directly into social media on Facebook and YouTube. And I do believe that is the number one way that churches can increase first-time giving. I think that's a no-brainer, but also just overall, I think it can have a major effect if we use the strategies put in place today. So let's talk a little bit about a quick story about the PayPal button. So this is the Grace Anglican Church in Fairhope, Alabama. They had the PayPal button on there for a year. They don't have a really in-depth digital donation strategy put in place, but just simply having a PayPal button, no one was hardly ever using it. And then one day someone gave $2,400 just out of the blue in Christmas season. So if that's the minimum that you can get done, just put a PayPal button on there and link it to your church's, PayPal account, and you may be able to generate donations there. But if we start, really considering it and thinking about it, encouraging online donations, you will be surprised how transformational it will be. Here's the Dare to Imagine Church. That is Pastor Kevin Johnson. So the first thing we need to do is make sure that your church is set up as a authorized 501c3 with the IRS, right? The Internal Revenue Services of the United States government. If you're in a country outside of the United States, you need to figure out a way to get registered as a, nonprofit in your tax government agency. But it starts with the government, right? You are a tax-free organization, a nonprofit. And if you are in that category, you can set up your Facebook page to be authorized as a nonprofit organization, and you can set up your YouTube account as well. Now, these two work a little differently, so we're going to go over both of them, and they're both incredibly powerful ways to get started. So on Facebook, if you have your pages category set to nonprofit organization, they are going to go through a little bit of a process getting you set up there. And once you're all set up, you will have the ability to accept donations directly through Facebook. And one of the best parts about this, once you're approved, is that you can empower organizations that want to support you by collecting donations online on your behalf. So you can also include a convenient button for your viewers to donate with directly inside the Facebook platform, so on your page. And Facebook does an amazing job collecting donations, potentially sharing your event with connected networks, which can promote other people to join in on the giving. For example, when you donate, you can select whether others will be able to see your donation in the live stream chat room. You can also keep that information private, but Facebook really does a great job about fundraising. And you can see here that this is a charity that we support here, and they have a donate button. This is the Christian Fellowship, and you can put the donate right on the page. Interestingly enough, a lot of churches don't like to have the donate button directly on their Facebook page because they don't want to seem too needy, like they're asking for it. I think personally that using the donate button on the live stream is really the way to go, because you really want a new person to visit your Facebook page to learn more, right? To maybe contact you, send you a message. I don't think talked to a lot of churches about this. Might not necessarily be the best place to be asking for donations up front. What we really want to do is get them involved and get them to like our page, get them to start coming into the church, and then start realizing, oh wow, during the live stream, if I can't make it, I can still give on a given Sunday. So Facebook's a great way to do it. Once you're all set up, anyone that ever mentions your Facebook page by tagging you, so if it's the Dare to Imagine church, if they hit the @Dare to Imagine and they mention you in a post, they'll be prompted to ask if they would like to raise donations on your behalf. So that's a really powerful way to enable almost anyone in your church to do a fundraiser. So I think this is going to be incredibly powerful. Imagine if you have a church fundraising goal and all of your members go out and make a post saying, hey, we just need 20% more. This is our goal. Can you donate through Facebook by sharing it with all your friends? And it really could be an incredible way to go. So next we'll talk about, I think we're going to jump over to YouTube here. So YouTube is rolling out something called YouTube Super Chat for Good. And it will allow you to actually enable any organization just the way Facebook does once you're set up with Google. So you set up with Facebook, set up with Google separately. You just register in their catalog of 501c3 registered nonprofits, and then you will show up in their database as someone that any YouTuber can decide to elect to send all of their super chats to them. So what is a super chat? A super chat is funds donated during a live stream. So in the chat room, there will be a little button where you can donate that. That's coming soon. And then also on every video and every live stream that you do, there's a feature called cards. And what cards are is just a little bit of additional information that you can add to the video, and you can add, you see there, a donation section. So you can add the ability for people to donate directly. So those are the two ways that we can increase donations on Facebook and YouTube. So that about wraps up this portion of the course. That was chapter 3 of the book. You can get a lot more information, obviously, in the book. But let's get on to our next chapter, which will be really the big one here. What you need to know as a complete newbie to get started. So I hope you enjoyed that video. I don't know if you know this, but we have a Facebook user group called Churches That Live Stream. And I really highly suggest you joining to learn more, collaborate with like-minded church media and pastors online, and then pick up the book. It's a great read. It's only $9.99. You can listen to it on Audible, and it's only $2.99 on Kindle. If you take my online course and you don't have the funds to buy the book, I do include excerpts from the book, everything you'll need to learn and help your church live stream for free.